Hello, princesses, and welcome back to Not Fit for Print Beauty with me, Rebecca. I'm smiling like this because I'm super excited about the Natasha Denona palette we're going to look at today. This is the Natasha Denona YUCCA palette. You can say yucca, I suppose, if you want, but I've always grown up saying yucca. It's a perennial, member of the perennial or shrub family, the state flower, I think, of New Mexico and El Salvador, but found throughout North America and the Caribbean. I believe in like New Zealand and stuff too. I think it's made its way across the sea, known for this kind of color scheme that we're going to see here. We are going to look at it. We're going to try two different eye looks. I'm not wearing any eye makeup now, other than a little mascara. And we are going to swatch it in two different lightings. This is $69. A little bit of a price increase that we already saw on this midi size Natasha Denona palette, and has, as you can see, talk about yucca coloring, metallic, matte, and shimmer, 15, as they say, fiery shades. And fiery would be a good word. It's kind of, a lot of people think it's like kind of a cactusy type flowering shrub, and that works here. So we have a very kind of desert landscape, but very lively and exciting. And we see that too on the cover, this kind of ombre, kind of desert sky type cover, and these really grounded but happy, I think, shades. I think it's a really exciting color story. I've heard some that don't like it, but I've been excited since it was revealed. To me, this is the way I prefer to wear color. It's a little bit kind of interesting and different than browns, but still feels close to home for those of us who get intimidated by really bright colors. We're also going to compare it to something here, but let's first look at the yucca on its own, okay? Let's look at it here in studio lighting. Here are the shades laid out the way they are when you open up the palette. So take a look first here in studio lighting, all 15 fiery shades, as the brand describes it. Very beautiful. And then we're going to take them outside into the warm California sunshine. California actually is an irrigated desert after all, so I do think that that works. Take a look at that there. These are beautiful shades. I think they're really exciting. Now, the great thing about having a close relationship and a tight-knit relationship with our community here at Not Fit for Print Beauty is that you guys know I am listening to you, and many times, many of you will know that I'm about to review something and you'll put in your requests early. I've had about 5 or 6 requests to compare this to the Melt Gemini palette, not the Gemini 2, but the original Gemini palette. And though I don't generally do cross-brand things in a first impressions video, I think this one really merits it. So there are some differences, but let's take a look. And I'm putting timestamps on the screen for those who want to jump ahead. But for those who wanted to compare it, I'll show you the swatches, but I think it compares more in palette than it does in swatch. But let's look. Here, of course, is our Natasha Denona YUCCA palette, and here is the Melt Gemini. It is undeniable, the sort of similarities, but when you look at it, so I left that swatch on my arm of the YUCCA palette, and I just did a real quickie swatch of the Gemini atop it. So let's look at that first here, and I'll tell you what I noticed. Though the similarities, as I said, are undeniable, I've noticed that the Gemini that's on the top, right across the top there, is a little bit more somber. I feel that the Natasha Denona lets a little bit more sunlight in, almost like a desert in the evening. And when the sun is still up and we have some of those blues, it's not quite as dark. I feel the Melt palette goes a little bit more brooding, and the Natasha Denona palette feels a little more hopeful to me. Those are big adjectives for eyeshadow palettes, but I'm wondering if you can relate to what I'm saying. I feel more drawn, I should say, to the Natasha Denona palette, but of course that's individual preference, isn't it? Okay, so any other examples that you need or comparisons, and sometimes there'll be one shade that you want compared, and if you need that, of course, Natasha Denona Gold palette, Metropolis, any of those things, we do have lots of similarities in there, but I don't want to do a 45-minute video. However, if you need to see that, you just let me know here or over on Instagram, and I will make sure to get that up for you. Very quick turnaround so that you can see that and it can help you with your purchasing. For now, I'll just put these two palettes down below in the description bar. But anything you need it compared to, please ask. Don't hesitate. Okay, so the reason I am not starting off my intro already wearing the look is I really think we need to do two. And I happen to personally be excited about this palette. So let's do one eye differently than the other. Didn't want to start out the video that way. And I'll put my mirror up here. I will also put the names of the shades on the screen as we work. So let's go ahead and do this eye first. And we'll do Rephr brushes on this eye and Sonia G brushes on the other. Why not? Okay, we're going to do more of a brownish look here on this side of the eye. And then I don't know what we're going to do on the other yet. I never think about that. So let's go ahead and start with this shade right here and just kind of put that there and up. And then switching Rephr brushes to the Rephr number 26 underneath. Already loving how these perform. There's nothing as delightful as a good performing Natasha Denona palette. I want to go really bright here. I want to start really bright and put this shade just a little bit into the inner corner and onto the eye. Okay, it looks like I can be a bit firmer. I knocked off most of the shade and it looks like I can be a lot firmer with it. Ooh. Oh wow, but look how pretty that is on this eye right there. Look how pretty that is. And just underneath, and I'm running it just onto the eye a little bit, and then I want to go right into the shade here. Kind of a yellowy, mustardy eye up on top of that brown. Wow. And I remind you, I'm going to go on the outside of the eye here. Same brush, no need to make brush laundry. I do remind you guys, if you're new to my channel or relatively new, and I know I'm a broken record, I am a fashion and beauty journalist. I am not a makeup artist. So though I know when I've interviewed a lot of the key players, I basically, try to learn and listen, but my knowledge comes from the other side, the typing side of the industry. So I just apply makeup the way most of us would at home. Okay, these tutorials are just for fun, watching a normal person use it. Okay, and then over the top, I want to go with that kind of green yellow. So we're going to go into this shade right here. Ooh, this should be fun. And I'm going to use just a little flat brush and just apply it all the way across the mobile lid. Let's take down the mirror and take a look at that. Get rid of this eye. Here, I need a little eye patch. Little not fit for print beauty eye patch. Isn't that pretty? So that's kind of a mustardy eye. I want to do something on this side now. Oh, I just don't know. Let's switch over to our Sonia G brushes and let's do something totally different. Let's go in with this shade right here and maybe do kind of an orangey blue eye. What do you guys think? Let's do a totally different look. I can't imagine how many looks you could do with this palette, but let me tell you, that really bright yellow shade in the inner corner is pretty cool. Now this shade right here is dragging a tad on the eye, which I'm sorry to say. This one right here is dragging a tad. And I'll keep playing around with that to see why that is. I'm having it go on fine. The color payoff looks just fine, but I did want to mention it. Why not? And put that, since now I love this brightness in the middle. So these two orange shades here, they're lovely, but it took me a little bit of time to get on. Let's try this deeper shade here. It goes onto the brush lovely. And it's going, just, a little bit of hesitation, and I'm used to Natasha Denona being perfect now. I remember palettes back years and years and years ago when that wasn't always the case, but it's been pretty good lately. So I'm surprised. Using the same brush into this beautiful green blue shade, no need to make brush laundry, and that's going on just beautifully onto the outer corner of the eye and a little bit underneath it. Wow, that's really pretty. I don't want to go much darker than that. I don't like having really eyes that really mix a lot of different colors. That's just, again, personal preference. Okay, and I want to kind of go in, let's do this one right here with my finger. That's really pretty. and just get that all the way across so we can kind of blend that orangey goldy blue. And I want to go over and across the green blue as well. Oh, I like that a lot. We need another kind of, we need something else underneath. Let's go a little bit more at this one underneath. Okay, which eye do you like better? So I like to cover them when I've done two different eye looks so it doesn't get too many visual cues going on. Which eye look do you like better? We could sit here all day and do eye look after eye look. Let me tell you, I was being very picky there with the oranges, saying they hesitated a bit. They did go on. I'm going to, start experimenting and playing around a little more and seeing what others think as well. But I am very, very pleased. I can't complain about the look. I didn't have to fight with the palette. I just noticed a teeny bit of hesitation. Going to experiment with brushes, going to experiment with primer. I don't want to just blame the palette right out of the gate, and I will keep playing and I'll update in a pin. Definitely I'll look for a pinned comment below. I can't argue though with the eye look. These are two of the most fun eye looks I've seen in quite some time, including the fact that for those people who are very much like me, I love to stick to neutral, some say boring, I say sophisticated palettes that give me fairly predictable eye looks. This is just a little bit outside of that while still feeling very grounded and very wearable. I love this palette. Like I said, I am aware that I said two of those little orangey shades kind of hesitated a bit. I don't care. I think this is absolutely beautiful and I'm in love with the color story. It's why I had to at least do two looks, and I will continue to play with it and wear it in other videos. I think much more accessible and fun than the Gemini Melt palette, but you tell me what you think. In fact, tell me what you're thinking down below. Those kind of things are what makes us a community. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I sure hope that you did. Hey, if you haven't already done so, make sure that you subscribe to this channel so we can continue to grow. Come over to Instagram and TikTok and tell me a big hello and give me a follow over there. And don't forget that you can get more involved with this YouTube community by becoming a member of this channel or by giving super thanks, which so many of you have done. But in any way that you choose to be here, I am just super happy to have you, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Bye-bye.